Just had no idea I was here. Alright, so I just wanted to go over a little bit of the Matt Shumer article. The big things are happening. Something big is happening. He talks a lot about GPT Codex 5.3 and Claude Opus 4.6 being like super great models, and how you can just let things go for an hour and come back and your shit is finished, and that's accurate. Excuse me, I sip this coffee, but it's also expensive. So that's not what I do. Personally, I use the Windsurf IDE, and see, like, it asks me before it does shit, and it'll do a task, and then we'll be done. Right now, I am using the Claude Opus 6.3 because we've got props that float when we go over the water, and GPT 5.2 wasn't really telling me what the problem was, so I kicked it up a notch. Now, Claude Opus 4.6 is hella expensive. It's just fucking 8x, 8 credits per message. And that's a lot. So I wouldn't want to let that run unsupervised, which is what I think Matt's doing when he talks about making apps, in an hour or two. And that's a fine way to do it if you've got the money. Personally, I prefer to side develop. I'm sitting here, I'm watching what's happening. I can kind of fine tune the debugging process. I don't just have to let it guess and then test. It's amazing that it does and that it can, but that's expensive for me, so I don't think that's a real world application just yet. Not until local models start getting a little bit better at tool use. Not that there's none that are good, but I'm just saying in general, like, if you own the model and you own the compute, yeah, fucking let her rip. That's dope. But I do AI assisted, I side dev. I give it clear, precise directions, and I stop it when it starts doing shit that looks expensive. That being said, you can pay $20 a month right now to ChatGPT, and just by copying and pasting code into a development window, you can bang out $1 million app. I mean, the marketing is up to you, but I'm saying, like, an app that at one point would have taken a team of people $1 million to make, you can now make in an afternoon with ChatGPT and some pretty and precise prompting. Whether or not it's at production level, that's up to you. Like, nothing should be considered production level until it's gone through actual user testing, and you've gotten some feedback. So I won't say it's producing production quality in one prompt in one afternoon, because that's not possible, right? Like, you need to have some feedback in development. There needs to be some back and forth with users. But I wouldn't be surprised if what we gave to users, my stuff was just fine and works great and we love it. So it's not impossible it could do that. I'm just saying your code's not ready for production until it's been tested. So technically, you've had human users actually using the product. It's not been tested, so you can't actually have it. Anyway. Now, that being said, that probably costs OpenAI, your subscription, I'm guessing, costs them like $100 a day or something. You know what I mean? Like, they're losing money. They're subsidizing a lot of this tokenage. But that's fine, because every time it works, every time somebody like me makes a cool thing like this, somebody like you looks at it and goes, I want to do that. And now you're a $20 member. And every extra dime they have, they're putting into the next model. So they're subsidizing your use to get more users, so they can get more money from investors to pump into the next model to improve the intelligence and get closer to AGI, which is a crazy idea, but whatevs, are also working on artificial sentience, so I'm not one to judge. Sure. Anyway, I don't want to get into the ethics of that right now, but it's a fun project, so they stop subsidizing that use. They'd either have to advertise, which they already are. They're already talking about doing. And or they're going to have to charge a lot more for their compute, which will inevitably occur. Like right now, we're in the golden maker age. I recommend make a little bit of money, buy some fucking hardware, and get yourself familiar with localized models. Because eventually, I imagine, the days of fraction of a penny messaging, like tokens and API calls, it's probably not going to be forever, right? It's going to get more expensive. But if you're, I don't know, Rockstar Games, right, that's fine for you because you can spend $1,000 a month on ChatGPT. That's not a big deal for you, right? You can spend $50,000 a month on ChatGPT because either A, you're going to hire less developers and save $100,000, $200,000 a year, having 4 people do what 5 people used to do, or you'll keep the 5 people and have them doing the work of 10, right? Which is, I don't know, to me logical, but big tech and university money is going to come into play, but I don't think that we're going to see. Unfortunately, I'm concerned that you're going to see big companies getting involved in AI on a more local and proprietary level. So like Shumer talks about curing disease, and universities being able to condense 100 years of research into a decade, and that's true. But more than likely, those researchers are going to belong to Pfizer, and they're going to be patenting everything. So Pfizer's going to do, they're going to make their own AI. They're going to get their own model together. They're going to buy all the research and fund all the research at MIT and Harvard and Mayo Clinic and all these places. And in funding it, they'll have access to the raw data. That's going to be a stipulation. They'll pump that raw data right into their training model, into the training data for their models. And then they'll start iterating every drug that you can and can't even imagine. And the ones that work, because they're going to be able to do simulations, but they'll be able to simulate every cell in a body before too long. Like the compute power is damn near there. Like if you don't believe me, look at what they're doing in Unreal Engine with nanites. Like you can already get millions and millions of small particles moving fluidly at 120 frames per second. I don't, your video RAM is the delineator. If you've got enough compute, you can kick that up to billions. And now we're talking about simulating the cells. You can simulate a human body. You can simulate a human body, then you can simulate a small virus with, how that operates. You can start to actually run simulations for your drugs in real time, right? Once that becomes a thing, they'll be able to literally patent every drug to ever come or not come. So sure, they'll probably have a cure for every cancer imaginable in the next 2 decades. Whether or not, you'll be able to afford it or not, who knows? Like, there's potential for utopia or dystopia coming rapidly. On the same token, though, the use of proprietary IP is going to be the real motivator for them to develop their own models, right? It's not that Pfizer wants to spend a shitload of money on servers and data centers. It's that they don't want to entrust OpenAI and Microsoft with their huge data sets, right? Because these models are prone to hackers, and the security for them is not really the actual inner workings of the machine thought processes, the neural networks, the way all of those things happen is not super well understood even by the people who are developing it. Like, they have a rough idea, but it's nearly impossible to work out these levels of equations and math that the machine's doing on paper to verify it. So, like, they have a pretty good idea of what's happening. They don't have a full, complete understanding. It's like there's a circuit board look at every line on the circuit board, but at some point, lines on the circuit board start intersecting, and it's like there's a little tiny black dot over top of that intersection where they can't see what's happening, right? They're pretty sure they know what's happening, but they can't see it. They can't verify it, so it's still a little bit of a Schrodinger type mystery. Because of that, securing these things is also not a exact science. And there's people out there every day working on jailbreaks and getting the AI to break its own rules, to do things that it's not supposed to do. Because of that, right, if you were Pfizer and you gave all of your proprietary research data over to OpenAI so they could train a model for you, you have no control over that data once it leaves. Like, there's things you can do through contracts and agreements to secure the data. You didn't see the air quotes there, but that's what was there. Secure the data. You can't really verify it yourself. And if while they're training their model, there's a breach or a leak, your information is potentially out there. Somehow your data, it makes it into general training data. That's not impossible. Now someone can extract verbatim entire pieces of data from you, intellectual property that you don't want out there in the world or stolen. All of these things are risks that companies like Pfizer, who are going to want to use this technology to build more shit, are going to have to consider. So they'll be developing their own servers, their own data centers. Which is terrifying when you think about it in terms of monopolized medicine and quest for life extension technology by the most evil and rich among us. It's pretty cool if you think about it in terms of, like, let's say you're a consulting firm on a given scientific type thing. Let's say your scientific expertise is, I don't know, making bridges, I guess. So, understanding how weight distribution works in a bridge and all of that, let's say, is the thing. And there's litigation involved, right? You can train an AI model, a proprietary model at your office, your consulting firm's office, with every case that firm has ever handled, which would include any precedent in court cases, or give it all of that data, train it on all of that data, and it now understands not only the more minute elements of your science, right? It also now has a pretty good understanding of vocal tonalities and the voice, so to speak, of the individuals and the organization as a whole, right? So now you get a new client who's a bridge builder, and he's going to court because, let's say, he built a bridge in fucking, I don't know, Louisiana, and the city was like, hey, we want this bridge to be a suspension bridge, and he was like, well, we should definitely reinforce it with pillars, and the city's like, no, that's not necessary, it's not part of our code, so just fucking build it anyways, whatever. And he doesn't want to get sued for breach of contract, and it's not legally required, even though he thinks he should do it. He's like, all right, well, I guess their bridge. And he builds the bridge. And now he's in litigation because the bridge collapsed. And, let's say he wants to use the pillars because, I don't know, fucking his buddy owns a company and said pillars are necessary. I don't know, whatever the fuck. But now you can give all of that information over to your AI, and you can say, acting as a 30-year veteran in the bridge building profession, evaluate these case documents and give me an outline for litigation for both the plaintiff and a defendant on this case, and then have it bust that out. And you save those outputs as files. You give a new chat window, the whole lot again, and you say, okay, build a plan for the defendant, that's me, or whatever. But you can specialize using your own data, and you can also maintain the security of the intellectual property. And that's going to be very valuable, right? So it's also going to require data input, right? Like you have to get these reports from somewhere. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your consultants stop doing scientific research or stop writing articles or investigating things. It's just that now you have a way to synthesize large data sets in a way that may be humanly impossible, right? Very rarely do you have a human being who can cite 10,000 different case studies verbatim, right? But if you give your model 10,000 case studies as its training data, it'll pretty much bang them out verbatim. So, especially when we get into things like the retrieval techniques and different prompt engineering stuff. But like, the point is, these companies are going to have proprietary models, and that's where I think the money is going to be coming from in the future for people who are involved in doing like science and research. Is, building these data sets and curating the data sets, specializing the data sets. Like, these are all things that human beings can still do, even when the actual analysis is being done by a machine. And, the age-old meme from IBM, computers can't reason, so they should never be tasked with positions of management, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But that's true. These things are artificial. Their reason is not infallible. It's based on human reason. Like, they do things like humans would do them. Just expert humans who are really, really smart. So, if you're in control of the data and you're generating the data, then you're also ultimately in control of the AI. So get out there and start collecting data. That's what I think you should do. Because like another thing Matt was talking about is the loss of jobs. I don't think that's entirely true. I think that these tools are going to do the opposite in a lot of places. I think they're going to increase the expectation of output. For instance, if I own a gaming company, which I hope to, I can make, let's say, a $1 million game a year by myself. And when I say that, I'm talking about how much it would cost to have a small team develop a game. Let's say you're bang out something that costs $1 million. Like the game you're watching right now definitely would have been $1 million game in the year 2000, right? Easily. Now, I don't know, it'll probably cost me like $300 maybe to develop this as a hobby, like just a thing I'm doing my time. So, and like this is 2 projects. I'm working on 2 projects at the same time. 4 projects if you talk about marketing. But about two projects simultaneously is my max. But that's still like a 400 times output, because before I started working with assisted side developing, side coding, that's what I call it, side coding. Before I started side coding, I was doing negative 200% output, right? I was thinking about things that it would be fun to make, but I didn't have the necessary skill set in coding to actually build them. Now, I just need a vision and good directions, and they're built right in front of me, like fucking magic. That's not to say I needed no programming knowledge, understanding how programs work, and having a general idea of programming concepts has definitely been beneficial. But when I tell you this, I mean it. I've never written an original line of C++ in my life. I did a few tutorials as a kid where I learned how the compiler works. Some, guessing game, like choose a random number kind of thing. But like just literally following tutorials, typing it right out of C++ for Dummies, and then compiling it. Never written an original line. This whole project is written in C++. Some of the tools are written in Python, but the whole game, C++. Never written a single line in my book. But it's beautiful and it's working how I want it to. There'll be some aesthetic changes, but ultimately, we're very close to complete here. Like super close. There's not a lot of bugs. That's the first time we've seen landscape on this track since we've been driving. We're at the 141 mile mark, 142. That's, so like these tools are exceptionally useful. Now, if I own a gaming company and I know I can do $2 million projects at once, right? Why, once I've sold these games, right, and I make my millions of dollars, why wouldn't I hire 3 or 4 other dudes like me, put them to task each on 2 different games, right? And now I'm making if I'm doing 2, let's say we got 5 other dudes doing 10, now we're doing $12 million games a year, right? That ain't too bad. Now, to be fair, I'd probably only ask each of them to do 1 full game because, like, I'm a fucking crazy person and I live and breathe this shit. But I can't ask other people to do that. But I can certainly pay one guy, again, if I'm making millions of dollars, I can pay one guy $100,000 a year to build a whole game instead of hiring 10 guys, right? $100,000 each to build 1 game. And I know that sounds initially like job loss, but to me what it sounds like is exponential gains, right? So like I might still employ 10 guys, right? Still may spend $1 million a year on hires, but instead of making 10 games, we'll make 100. That's 100 experiences for other people to play and enjoy and have fun with throughout time, forever, in memoriam. So I think the expected output is going to increase, not the number of employees, right? Like, so right now, if a company's got a person who used to do 30 hours of work in a 40-hour week, but now is using AI tools and is banging out 60 hours worth of work and is still only really doing 25 hours, those companies can say, hey, why don't you do 75 hours worth of work this week? I'll pay you the same as much as I've been for you being here 40 hours a week, but you only got to come in for 30. That's a win-win. The employee is still doing 30 hours of work in office, but they're not wasting 10 hours at a desk waiting for the clock to come down. They can go off and fucking hang out with their kids for another 2 hours a day. And the employer gets 75 hours worth of work in the 30-hour period. So, in the 40-hour period, right? Because they're still paying for 40 hours. That's a win-win. That's exponential growth, right? No matter what your business is, like now you can do more. If you had 1 warehouse, now you can have 2. That's win-win. There's no growth limit. You can fucking do anything, right? I could if I wanted and had the money for permits and clearances. I'd have to get clearances, I'm sure, from some kind of government agency, the FFA or whatever. But like right now, I could build a rocket and send my own satellite into space. Like, that's totally doable. I could ask ChatGPT right now for how to do it, and by the end of the fucking month, I could have me a prototype, sending a fucking thing to the moon, or not to the moon, the thing into space. I definitely could. I'm not gonna, for the government agents that are listening, because I know that fucking firing heavy rockets into certain airspace is illegal as fuck, and I'm not trying to go to jail. I love my life. Prison looks horrible, but it's still possible. I could do it. I know I could. I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. And if any government entity wants to sponsor me doing this and give me the clearances and money, I'll fucking prove it. But I wouldn't try to prove this one. But you leave in the comments, you know, or in the chat or whatever, if you like an impossible thing, build this, and I'll fucking try. Because I'm pretty sure we can. I think anything's possible. You want to build robot cars that wheels fucking convert into feet, can walk around rough terrain like mountains and swamps? Hop on ChatGPT right now. It can probably build the G code to 3D print a working fucking prototype. Take that prototype to investor meetings, get some fucking angel money. Next thing you know, your cars are being driven on Mars. Like, it's doable. It's fucking doable. Now, the scary part is going to come when the robots come. And Matt Shumer alludes to this a couple of times in the article. He talks about robots, and that's when things are going to get weird, because for things like coding, software development, and like building robots and fixing robots, right? I don't think it's cost effective or feasible to have robots fixing robots. Like, you just have this endless stream of robots, and at some point, like, who's building any of it, right? So I think engineers, as far as that are concerned, are probably pretty safe. I think they are going to have a higher expectation of output, but I don't think that they're necessarily going to lose jobs. But your average sample collecting scientist, the university could send a team of robots out to a sample location, and that team of robots could spend 40 straight hours collecting samples and data, rain or shine, and bring that data back and analyze it via AI without ever seeing or touching a person, and the output there would be exponential, right? Like, right now, if you're a scientist in the forest, you go out and you measure fucking trees. You measure 1,000 trees, right? That might take you 40 hours because you can only work 8 hours a day over 5 days. But you could send 3 robots out there and they could measure trees for 24 hours a day, 3 days in a row, and fucking still take in more tree measurements than you did when you were out there doing it by hand, you know, in 40 hours over. So that may cause issues, I guess, for grad students, because that's usually who's out there doing those sample gatherings. But yeah, the bipedal robots, scary stuff. I think that's where you're going to see a lot of these jobs going. That's where we see the robots. But for now, somebody still has to make my sandwich at fucking Panera Bread. Somebody still has to flip the burger at Burger King, even though robots taking the orders. So that's how you can tell. You should have started to shift back towards the kitchen. Those boys are fucked. Robots can cook perfect steak. They absolutely can. Sorry. You know. Will they? Probably. Restaurant owners are fucking notoriously cheap. Why pay a guy $50,000 a year when you can spend $30,000 on a robot that only costs you $1,500 a year to maintain? Easy choice. Easy choice. Most service jobs are going to be gone. Which is why I think everybody should be learning things like, you know, how to side develop, how to side code. I mean, if you can afford vibe coding, go fucking roll with the vibe, bro. But if you can't, side code that shit. That's the way to do it. Look at that now, we're at 181 miles, and we've still only had one landscape error, and that's happened around chunk 300, which was an intersecting chunk. I built 0 to 300, and then I built 301. Again, this is not our final terrain build anyways. It's not our final crop placement build. I gotta get rid of these fucking cars for a minute to make sure that's the proper one. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Shumer's article. It's not like a point for point, it's just some thoughts that popped into my head as I was reading the article. So I think that a summary is we need to have, as people who are potentially going to lose jobs to AI or robots, you have to recognize that in some ways, short of catastrophe, like Armageddon style shit, this is a reality. Okay? I hate to say it, but no one is getting paid to send telegrams anymore. Nobody is operating a fucking telegraph. It's not happening. Less and less every year is there a guy out there actually servicing phone lines, right? Like the landline phone lines are less and less every year. They carry some internet and carry phone to like your grandmother's house, but not for a whole lot longer. They're dying out. I don't have one. You don't have one, right? You don't have a landline. You listening right now? All right, maybe one of you does, but most of you don't. You know loudly. So some of these jobs are gonna go. Like that's a reality. But there is something that you can do now to prepare for that. And one of those things is you need to start collecting the data. Start gathering data, all of it. If you're a scientist who's out there studying the forest dirt or the desert floor, get out there and start taking core samples, analyzing it, building an analytics for it, putting everything in databases, tabling everything, labeling everything. Labeling is a huge part of building training sets. And start learning how to build data sets for these coming models. Because there's a good chance that whether you work for a university or a big corporation, that eventually they're going to want that data to train AI models. And when they do, the person who already has it curated and ready for models to be trained, or who's invested in actually training the models themselves, which is a thing you can do. You can rent space on a GPU farm and fucking feed it data and a model and weights and just let it run, and it'll take a while. It'll cost you money, right? You're gonna have to spend money for that, but you can do it, and you can build these models right now, and you can start selling access to these models to other firms in your industry who don't already have it, because that's who's going to win. The firms that already have these models are going to start serving the firms that don't. And eventually, the proprietary model will win. So start collecting data. Start learning to use the tools. Matt's right about that. In the article, it talks about learning to use AI, learning to adapt and adopt. 100% on point with that. I absolutely agree. If you're not doing that, you're probably gonna miss out a little bit. Oops, we just caught a little glitch. See how our finish line popped up there for a brief second? That's alright, we got bigger fish to fry right now. We're gonna get to those finish lines though. Anyway, that's the show, I guess, if you want to call it that. But those are just my thoughts on this AI stuff. Just a side note, similar like postscript, you would say, if we were watching fucking cowboy movies. I also don't think coding jobs are at risk. I think that coding jobs are at risk of burnout. I think companies are comfortable spending what they've been spending on developers and engineers. I think what they're going to start doing is asking for higher output. could lead to burnout. Normal people don't work 10 or 16-hour days on debugging. Crazy people do. Normal people do that shit only 8 hours a day. But they're still going to want you to bang out a lot more in each 8-hour day than you have been. Honestly, that's fine. You have the fucking tools. You do twice as much. Who cares? It's 8 hours. You're at work. You know? Or do what I'm trying to do. Start your own thing. Right? Hopefully when this game finishes, I put it out there and people buy it and they play it and they enjoy it and they have a good time. That's all I can ask for. Crossing my fingers and hoping for the best there. But ultimately, if not, I'm going to find one of these companies to go work for. I'm already thinking about consulting on how to build your own proprietary models, because it's not technically difficult. It just needs a little bit of guidance, and like I said, it's all about that labeling. The labeling is the fucking part that's hard, but not impossible. Doable. And actually now you could probably use machine learning tools to do all the labeling for you. You train a small vision model to identify certain elements that are important. Like, let's say you're training faces, right? You give it a bunch of. I did this for the artificial sentience. It can recognize my face because I used a small model. I said, "Hey, my name is what my name is," and it takes like 25 pictures of my face, runs them into a little training circuit, and now it knows me. Every time I pop on the camera, it's got a little square with my name over it. Hey, that's him. Right? So like if I can do that on a laptop, and not even my most geeky laptop, I did that on an old ass gaming PC with like a 3090 or something in it. I forget what that was. The point is it's doable with basically no money. So imagine if you have a company with a lot of money, right? Definitely doable. Start gathering data. Start gathering that data and labeling it and preparing to train models and trade in models. Because that's where you're going to be able to sink or swim. Because you don't want to send that intellectual property over to OpenAI. You want to keep that shit to the chest. And I also don't think cinema jobs are gone. I don't think that we're going to see whole movies made with AI. I bet we'll see whole movies. We will get to a point where you don't see a single frame in the movie that hasn't been enhanced by AI. But I don't think that we'll see entire films built just with AI. And part of that is because what we love about actors is the uniqueness of delivery. I'm not saying it could never get better, but I've yet to see, even when they take motion capture of a person's face and put it into a CGI model on the screen, the emotion of the face is still not in that uncanny valley, right? Like, yes, I can tell that Shrek is modeled off of Mike Myers, and I can see the smirk on Mike Myers' face on Shrek's, but that there's still a disconnect there between the human emotion and the facsimile generated by machine. And I don't know that we'll be able to get rid of that, partly because the expression is first internal and then external. And short of actual artificial sentience, I don't know how we'll get that into, a diffusion model, essentially. That being said, CGI, I think, is toast. I think the days of spending millions of dollars to have some geeks in a fucking studio superimpose some 3D dragons into your scene for for millions and millions of dollars are over. I think that shit's done. I don't think we can do that anymore. You know, it's just like do that for 45 cents in about 8 minutes. 8 minutes is several iterations, by the way. Like you tried a few times, few different versions of that scene. You know, and that's as simple as giving it your original screen, your original scene, and saying, put a dragon in it. Dragon blows fire on a house. The camera swoops in on the dragon landing behind these two people. You can set keyframes, so you get one clip and one clip, and say, put these together with a 10-second shot of a dragon flying over them in the middle, and it'll seamlessly put that shit together. So CGI, CGI guys, if you're working in an Adobe suite right now, putting fucking cartoon dragons in movies for millions of dollars, again, the proprietary models are going to be your only salvation. Stop fucking dicking around with Z and XY axes of the mouse and start fucking training a model to make shit in your style. So, because that's where it's going to be at. You're going to sit down for an interview, and the producer's going to say, what's your diffusion model style? What does your shit look like? Show me what you got, bruh. And the company will hire you, quote unquote, license your model, and you know they're not going to hire a team. They're going to hire you, one guy. Who knows? So build models, collect data, build models. That's going to be important. It's going to be important. And if you're developing, keep on developing.